Hi, welcome to Town Meeting TV. My name is Stephen Heron. Today I have very exciting the folks from Partizanfilm, a good portion of the founding board of directors here to talk about the new cinema that should be opening in downtown Burlington sometime in the near future. Folks, thank you all for being here. If we could just go down the line, introduce yourselves, and how did you become involved with the project?
Great. Hi, I'm Brett. I am the president of Partizanfilm, and how did I get involved? It started with us, so I've been involved from the beginning.
I'm Sagalchik, one of the members of the board of directors. And yeah, I think we'll maybe get into the full story of sort of how we started thinking about what downtown Burlington needed after the Roxy closed as part of this sort of founding story. We'll get to that, I think.
And I'm Hamedani, and I didn't have any specific interest in theater as a project, but was asked by Michelle and Brett to join, so I gladly did.
Wonderful, thank you all. So let's delve into that founding story. As many people know, Burlington's only full-time multiplex, the Roxy, closed down last year, and that left Burlington without a full-time cinema. VTIF has their screening room and their monthly screenings. Main Street Landing does weekly screenings on Tuesdays, and there's other theaters in the area, Majestic 10, also owned by the Jarvis family, who owned the Roxy, and the Essex Cinema and the Drive-In that operates in the summer. But it was out without a full-time cinema, and how did that sort of spur the inspiration for the project of Partizanfilm, a different type of movie theatrical exhibition model?
I can say that Brett, as a huge movie lover, as soon as there was rumors of the Roxy potentially closing, there was an immediate concern of where is the kind of the traditional, you can pop in at any time. There are, 7 days a week, there are movies playing, new releases, sometimes some independent showings, but this kind of consistent movie theater experience, we are already talking about what is possible and what will step into the shoes, especially considering that there were rumors and concerns that the Roxy would not be able to be sold as a movie theater space. So if that had been on the table, I think then something would have happened on a much bigger level. Yep. And so we started already asking around and Brett reached out to the city to see, are there already rumblings of a movie theater in its place? And when the Roxy officially closed, we were already kind of looking into options.
Yeah. I mean, I used to work in movie theaters when I was younger. I worked in 2 art house cinemas, one in North Carolina and one in San Francisco. I also lived in New York City for a while, and just went to the movies all the time. And I couldn't imagine living in a place that doesn't have a kind of regular movie theater where on any night where I might be free, I could just go to the movies. And so, I think there are 5 of us on the among the founding directors, and I think we have different interests. I think among them was, for me especially, movies. I just want to be able to go to the movies, but also Burlington, and the question of the vitality of downtown and what a movie theater can bring to that. Can bring to downtown, and not wanting people to have to get in their cars and drive to Williston or to Essex to go to the movies. I think it seemed unlikely that a big commercial theater chain would build a new multiplex in downtown Burlington. So it seemed like this kind of grassroots effort was necessary.
And Vermont's actually notable in that the 3 major cinema chains, AMC, Regal, and Cinemark, have no locations in the state of Vermont.
Yeah, I guess that's right. I hadn't even thought of that. It's true.
I want to talk more about what we were saying earlier, and it ties to that big article that came out in 7 Days about a year ago now, that interviewed a number of different theater owners across the state, but heavily focused on Merrill Jarvis III. And he said that a movie theater is one of the linchpins of a thriving small downtown. And I think he put it a little too heavy on that. You want things like good restaurants and parks and other things, but I do think there's there's sort of a cultural center that's beneficial. That is, I think, one of the reasons y'all have gotten a lot of interest in the very short time since your announcement, is that I think you're tapping into a nerve that a lot of people are feeling.
And it feels a little silly to say, but Brett and I moved to Burlington with kind of an intention. We had options available of where we wanted to live, and there were only a few things on our list. For me, I don't drive, and I teach, and so I said sort of we need to be in a place that has a high school that is accessible without a car.
Yep.
We wanted to be near sort of the mountains, and we wanted to be in a place that had a movie theater. And these were like there are three big central driving factors in choosing where we want to live. And I think that even for people who aren't, like, I'm not naturally, like, movies are not my number one passion. It's not my number one desire. But having being able to be in a place that has things going on, that bring in filmmakers, that have like Q&A sessions, that have life and culture going on, is really important. And I think especially being in a university town, right, that you don't know exactly what will stick with people or what you'll become. And I think having these places where you can listen to music and go see a movie and experience the world in your own town, I think is really important.
Communal gathering, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the Burlington has a lot of great restaurants and shops, but I do think there needs to be more to do, to draw people out, different types of people, than just eating and shopping. I think, cultural experiences are a big part of it.
Absolutely. I want to tap into something, because your website you're sort of presenting Partizan as a more of a co-op model for a movie theater, which is something that's very unique for a movie theater. The Playhouse Cinema in Rutland was a co-op for about 10 years until they moved into a full sort of nonprofit zone. And people in this area in particular may be familiar with the co-op model when it comes to something like a grocery store. Mm-hmm. What do you envision the co-op model? How does that operate? How does that change how people may interact with a movie-going experience?
Well, part of it, I think, is going to be direct involvement in terms of volunteer opportunities, some benefits that we haven't quite fully ironed out, but including discounted ticket prices, and just ways to get involved. I think, as Michelle said, having a place that is accessible in a lot of ways, that's part of the co-op model we're looking at.
I think for several of us, the co-op idea started with like a general idea that businesses should be organized that way. It wasn't because movie theaters should be organized that way. We just think that the economy should be organized democratically, and one of the ways you can kind of do that, or introduce the idea at least of democracy in our businesses and in our workplaces is through co-ops. I think, though, that we also believe it'll be a benefit to the theater. Movie going, we see movie theaters closing all over the place, and I think that if people understand this theater as a theater that belongs to them, it belongs to us. It is our theater. It is everyone's. It is everyone's job to make this theater a success, and to make sure that fate doesn't befall it. And so there will be opportunities for people to bring in their talents, their interests, and to make the theater whatever they want it to be. They can, if we were not elected, but we're the founding board, but future boards will be elected. And if people don't like the programming, people don't like the decisions we're making, they can run for the board and change it. And I think, and in that way, I think the project will be responsive to community desires and needs, as time goes on.
It's interesting you mentioned that, because I was thinking about the model of cinema exhibition is so thought in like a week-to-week basis. You know, what comes out next week? What's playing? Especially in back in the day of single-screen movie houses, a movie would play there for 6 days and then would move on to another theater, and then another thing would come in. This being a sort of microcinema, as you describe it, 2 smaller auditoriums, how does a board of directors think in terms of months and years when it's an industry model that is so based on a short-term timeline?
Yeah, I think there'll be an interesting question about programming that the details will kind of get ironed out over time, but there are a few things at play. One is we're hoping to have these bigger events where you partner with local filmmakers or partner with particular series that people are interested in, that maybe people want to put in the time to bring those movies into Partizanfilm, and those can be planned well in advance. And then we'll have the more kind of traditional, what is coming out, what are distributors willing to play, to offer us to play, and those kinds of quick decisions that might have to be made. We'd have a curator who makes those decisions.
Yeah. I mean, I think there also are decisions to be made outside of programming. You know, what kind of snacks do we offer?
Yeah.
You know, all sorts of things about this is not just a movie theater. It'll be a cafe and a bookstore, and I mean, on a very small scale. But I think people can add ideas about how to cultivate a space that they want to be in.
Excellent. I want to talk more about the location. The space is on 230 College Street, and is ironically right next to where the Roxy building used to be. How the impetus of this whole project came from the possibility of Burlington becoming movie theaterless. How did that location come about? Was it just sort of a happy accident, or it was just right size, right timing for what you were looking for?
Not a lot of commercial buildings for sale in Burlington, and so that's really the driving factor.
Yeah, I mean, to be clear, we didn't buy the building, but
Right,
it was a commercial condo, and we did feel that it would be, we'd feel much more secure if we could own a property downtown. We wouldn't worry about rent increases, so yeah, this was like, I mean, I think like the only commercial space that was for sale at the time that we were looking, at least in the downtown area where we wanted to be, and there were questions about, well, can this work as a movie theater? So we spent quite a long time with an architect sketching out the possibilities in terms of layout, and before landing on one where we thought, okay, this could work. You know, it's not a huge space. So we really wanted 2 auditoriums because then we'd be able to offer more programming. And so, can we fit this in here while also, remaining code compliant, ADA compliant, having a bathroom, 2 bathrooms actually, it's going to work. So we feel very lucky to have found a viable space, and an affordable space.
That's great. And it is a prime location. You're right across from the library,
Right.
Bus stop nearby, very walkable, especially for a small independent cinema. I think you're hoping for a decent amount of foot traffic from the college crowd. Mm-hmm. It's very walkable from the 2 local campuses. So, how is the renovation process going? Has it been more of a project than you expected, or is it pretty much right in line with?
So much work had to be done before we could purchase the space,
because
we needed to know that it was feasible, and so it feels for now that things are going to the very meticulous plans that are in place. Who knows? Anything can happen with a huge renovation, and it is a big project. They were talking about kind of HVAC, walls going up, plumbing, all of this stuff. So we'll see. That we're optimistic, but so far, we have a competent team in place, and people are doing a great job. And we're also trying to incorporate as we go the volunteers that have reached out. So many volunteers, dozens have reached out saying like, we want to be able to be a part of this project. What can we do? And so coordinating their skills and abilities to what is possible is going to, I think, be important.
Definitely.
Yeah. I mean, you know, it's a big job. We need, you know, I mean, we have electricians and plumbers but yeah, we are also very grateful for, I think, maybe 140-ish people have signed up to be volunteers, and
A few have already been called upon.
Yes, a few have been
Thank
called
you.
upon, and we'll continue to do that when it comes time to paint and do other finishing touches, especially. Yeah.
And I think that's the benefit of having a sort of co-op model where people feel like they're a part of it, but also having a board of directors where it's not just one person. It's each of us comes with a set of skills or interests and particular eyes for things, and so we have different input of like what we think would work, and it's helpful to use each other as a sounding board of what will be correct for the space.
How involved is the board of directors with the entire project and sort of the lead up to opening in this very sort of, I'm trying to think of a less brutal word than birthing process, but this lead up to, the genesis, there we go, genesis of this Partizanfilm project.
I'd say pretty active. We have regular meetings as a group, and they're run very open, and kind of our process for making from big to small decisions, I think, is very group oriented, and everyone's input counts. So it's been a really good experience being on the board.
Yeah, I'm not sure when we started doing meetings, but I mean, I think, from the, certainly before we owned the space, we already we're having meetings and conceptualizing it together, and it's been really fun, and I hope that people will be, sometimes co-ops have a hard time, attracting candidates for the board of directors, and I hope people will want to join us and want to run when we have our first competitive elections next year, or hopefully competitive.
It just makes me think, because in the photos we have some photos up from the renovation. How does one even select the type of movie theater seat that you're going to purchase for your auditorium? Are you able to sample things, or is it just sort of a blind buy situation?
This was actually a process that the board had to talk about different options, about there was a moment where it looked like as a result of tariffs that things would be prohibitively expensive, and so there was a kind of back and forth with a few different options and decisions about colors. And the picture I see is up of the red chairs, and do you want to talk a little bit about the process of finding those chairs?
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, that was a little. I had a little moment of panic there when the theater seat supplier that we were originally going to use would announce that there would be all of a sudden there would be a $90 per seat tariff charge, and also that it would take 5 or 6 months for them to get the seats to us, and so we pivoted there, and that was that was definitely one of the big things we had to talk about. But it's true that we ended up with a seat where we had to rely on photos, and we were not but now we have it, and I think it looks good.
It looks great. Yeah. And also it was another one of those cases where I think because we're the movie community is also very wants movies to succeed, and because we're a co-op, that the person you ended up connecting with really was able to talk through what the process would be like, and even after they arrived, sort of what the setup would be like.
That's true. Yeah, it was a good experience.
I want to talk more about. So the goal is later this year for an opening. I know things with renovations and opening of businesses can get complicated and delayed for any number of reasons, but you're in the thick of actually building out the space and planning out what you want to be. Has there been any thought given to programming or other ways you want to engage with the community as it opens and as it continues to hopefully thrive through months and years afterwards?
Yeah, we're planning for a fall opening date, and so far things are on track, and yeah, and hopefully, yeah, things will work out with that regard. But also, I think, yeah, there's going to be a mix in programming no matter what of what is available with distributors and what is their demand for. And so local organizations have already reached out, thinking about what partnerships could look like, which I think will be really important. And also we are seeking input from people, and people have all sorts of niche tastes of what is it that really they want to see in their town, in their city. And so people, especially with small screens, like you can, if you have a particular interest in a particular decade or a country or a theme, you can find 31 people, right, to share that interest with you. And so I think there's going to be a lot of space for people to bring to life their interests.
Yeah, we talked a little earlier about what is the role of the co-op board in terms of programming. I think we've committed to being a first-run cinema because Burlington doesn't have one, and so we'll be playing the new releases that come out from indie distributors, but also I think there's a question of like, well, how much of our time and space do we want to give over to repertory programming? And that I think that decision is something we're still working on as a board, and that future boards might have different opinions on. So it'll definitely be part of the model, and I think the question is how much.
Mm-hmm.
So you've talked. Let's delve more into the brass tacks. Why a movie theater? Beyond the the greater good need of feeling that Burlington needs an art space, what made you interested in getting involved with a cinema in particular?
I mean, I think that like, I don't know. For me, a lot of it has to do with feeling like people spend too much time by themselves in their homes. I think like. And movies are something you can just watch them at home. I don't think it's as good of an experience. I think that it's just so much better if you are in a space where you are not allowed to look at your phone. At least there's strong social pressure to not look at your phone. And you can really focus on what you're watching. And you're doing it with other people, and there's like an impetus, because you're going out, you might invite a friend to go with you, and you might have a conversation with your friend about the movie afterward, and you might then talk about other things, and you might even talk to somebody that you haven't met before while you're out. And so cultivating a kind of a friendly place. Where people have a reason to go out and have meaningful experiences together, I think is really like the big thing for me.
Yeah, I think Brett said it really well. It's a pretty unique thing to have in society, really. I know for myself, looking back, having pretty strong memories of times I've gone to theaters with friends or family, and it is something that if a place doesn't have it, it is noticed, and I'm glad that we're bringing it to Burlington.
Okay. Any favorite movie-going memories from the past that may have fueled this?
You have too many, probably.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, to me, the period in my life where I was working at a theater in San Francisco, there was this great arrangement where, we got in free to see movies at the theater where we worked, but we also got in free to see movies at like most of the other theaters in town. So especially going to see movies at the Castro Theater, which is like an iconic, movie palace, and the Roxy, no relation to the Roxy here, and it was like it was you know, they didn't. Working at movie theaters often doesn't pay that well, I mean, you know, hopefully we can do better here. But that was like how the people who worked there, and you know, that was how they lived. That was their you know, the city was open to them, and because there's always something they could do for free, which is go to theaters in all these different neighborhoods, and yeah, I spent a lot of time doing that, and like made really strong friendships with the people that I would go to the movies with during that time. So you know, I mean, it'd be hard to like isolate a particular movie, you know, but yeah, especially watching classic movies at the Castro was always really fun.
I'm from New York City, and so I think that it felt kind of second nature that there are always movies available. This sort of seeking things out, I didn't really realize was important until we moved out of New York City. But I will say that the Vermont International Film Festival that had like, you know, a week and a half, 2 weeks of amazing programming that we just sort of camp out at for 2 weeks was kind of a game changer for Vermont, for like discovering that here in Vermont. And the experience of sort of of having things chosen for you that are interesting and that then you can share and talk about together, I think is really important. The sitting at home and sort of figuring out, well, what's the correct thing to watch, you know, doing the research, all of that is, I think, exhausting loop. And so being able to go to a place where you kind of trust that you are able to give input when you have it, but also that there will be things curated for you, I think is a magical experience.
This is what's playing. Do you want to see it or not?
Yeah, exactly. That's the choice, yeah.
For me, I'd say it's too numerous to mention. There's so many, either going to the movies back in high school, or going to the movies with my dad, or back to childhood and the first one I saw in the theaters. So too many to choose from.
Do you remember what the first movie you saw in theaters was?
It was, yes, I remember pretty well. It was All Dogs Go to Heaven.
That's great.
Have you seen that?
Yeah.
That's a good
Yep.
one. So that's kind of a chilling one. There's some intense moments in that.
Yeah,
Very
definitely.
children's
Do you remember the first movie you saw in theaters?
You know, I don't. I don't.
Oh,
Yeah, it was because I think as I was too little. You know, I think my parents took me when I was very young. So I don't have a memory of not having been to a movie theater.
Yeah. How about you both, Michelle?
Yeah, I don't remember. Do you?
I've been going to movies since I was 2 months old.
Oh, wow.
I have a much older brother, and I didn't cry a lot as a baby. So that's how I got here.
Amazing.
It's an infection. It's always been around. All my earliest memories are those are the ones that stuck, is being at the movie theater.
Wow,
Yeah.
it's amazing.
I want to wrap up. 2 more quick questions. One, is there anything in particular that, as you're leading up into this opening process, that you're really looking forward to? Any aspect of Partisan Film that you can't wait to share?
I'm excited for the small curated selection of books and of coffee. Having a place to just sit, maybe peruse some books, buy a book, sit, chat. You know, having the cafe space, I think, if it works the way we envision, it would be an amazing addition to Burlington that I can see myself wanting to just spend a lot of my time there.
I'm looking forward to meeting all the people who have reached out to us. I think that there are all these people who've sent us emails or filled out our volunteer form where they talk about how much they love movies and can't wait to see interesting movies at our theater. And I think, well, you know, how is it that we live in this town, this small, you know, ultimately pretty small town together, and they love movies and you know, and I love movies, and we've never met, and it'll be so great to encounter them in person, I think. So that's, I mean, you know, it'll be exciting to get going in general, but I think yeah, talking to people will be the best part.
I think for me, similar to Michelle's, I think the community aspect and having a physical space cafe for people to gather. And in terms of content, pretty broad, but looking forward to any community organizations, local groups that want to be involved. You know.
If there's a way for folks to get involved, how can they do so?
Go to our website, partizanfilm.org. That's partizanfilm.org, and you can become a member. Joining early is incredibly helpful to us. You know, we are taking on a very expensive renovation project on a tight budget, and the number of memberships we've sold so far has already kind of given us some breathing room, and so that really helps. The memberships are only $60 a year. It'll start when the theater opens. But if you're able to join early, it's a really helpful way to show support. And then there's also a volunteer sign up form on there if you want to give some of your time as well, and donations also gratefully accepted. Yeah.
Folks, I want to thank you all for being here. Very excited for the project to open.
Thank you so much.
I can't wait
Thanks for having us.
to be seated with my first.
Yes.
First theater. Thank you for watching Town Meeting TV. You can find more of our programming at cctv.org.